Hey, what's up, you nerds? Oh.
Hey, this week we talk a little bit about the new Spider-Man Far From Home trailer.
Yeah, we also talk about Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat!
As well as Because Science of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, they did a little sciencey thing and how that could work or probably not work.
It's like Mortal Kombat Mythbusters.
Yeah. We talked about the scenes that were cut from Avengers.
That's right. We also talked about Sonic.
Oh, yeah.
And how that is going.
Or not.
Or not going.
Hopefully going.
I think I need to pour myself another drink.
Here we go.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming back to Yellow Spandex. Last week, we talked about Endgame for a very long time. But we promised you some Mortal Kombat talkative-ness. I don't know if that's a word, but...
The quick button on the Endgame things, the Russos did, like, or at least Joe Russo did, like, an interview where he, like, kind of cleared up stuff.
It was on a podcast I think they were both on.
Yeah, so there was several things because there was like a Chinese interview too that people were citing and stuff, but it was all essentially very similar things. That the timeline thing was very important, and we didn't like at first. I think everybody thought it was just going to be because it's Endgame promo stuff. But I guess this is changing the segue. Like Vince beautifully segued to the Mortal Kombat, which we need to get to. But the Russos like did the PR thing about talking about the timeline stuff, about how it's like the quantum physics route. Where it's branching timelines. And now we know why, because the Far From Home trailer came out.
Holy crap.
If you haven't seen Endgame, you shouldn't be listening to this anyway, because we just talked about it last episode. But
yeah, it's a bad idea.
Also, the trailer for Far From Home starts with Tom Holland, ironically saying, don't. It's like,
yeah.
Watch this if you haven't
watch
seen
this.
It was very smart because about 2 seconds later, they pretty much was like, spoiled the entire movie if you saw it.
Mm-hmm. So it literally happens. It looks like minutes after Endgame, and they introduced Jake Gyllenhaal, Mysterio, coming in from the multiverse.
The multiverse.
And Josh had mentioned, like, he better be a bad guy. And I was like, it almost is certain because the way they presented it in the trailer, it's like, it's either the worst spoiler ever, or like he's going to be the villain.
Yeah.
Well, so this is what's confusing. The first trailer was clearly, like, get everybody hyped up. They had him in the fake outfit, and stuff. Yeah. And then this one, they're like, no, this is post-Endgame, Iron Spider.
I know, right? Look at it.
The first one was like Mysterio, like, oh, he's going to be the villain or something, or wannabe hero. And then now they're like, no, we're trying to help him. And this whole movie is going to somehow star Nick Fury. Like,
and Happy.
Yeah.
I was glad that Happy is part of this.
Yeah, me too.
He's like a huge director now. He's doing Lion King and all this other. I mean, he was a huge director back then too, but
it's kind of like poetic though, because they brought back kind of the welcoming crew for Iron Man. Like they're grooming the next Iron Man.
Yeah.
Iron Spider.
I mean, he even says something about that in the preview. He said something like, "You need to be the next Iron Man," kind of deal.
Yeah, because they were like. It was funny because they're like, "What about Captain Marvel? What about this? Blah blah blah." And he's like, "Well, I'm just your friendly neighbor Spider-Man." Like, bitch, you've been to space.
You've been to space.
Which it makes me wonder who's going to step up and do tech now. I mean, is it going to be Shuri or something for everybody? Because I mean, he obviously can't do what Tony did to create that suit, and it's obviously going to go. Something's got to go bad at some point in time, which might be why he has like stealth suit and a different suit later. So
it might be a group effort because. I think they even like kind of hinted at before, like he had a certain level. Oh no, did he have the web shooters before Tony? Okay, so he had a certain level of understanding.
Yeah, well, he's always been a scientist in that aspect.
I'm getting like my Spider universes crossed because there's like 40 of them now.
Yeah,
but yeah, so he has like small understanding of it. But then we have like the nation of Wakanda. So like I think that's like the MacGuffin here for the tech because
they have all the technology.
Because when Iron Man, Wakanda was like in hiding, which they did brilliant storyline. Or like why we didn't see them before because they were like, you people can deal with your own problems. We're over here. We don't have Starbucks, but we're great.
we want one though.
Yeah. Oh, we're watching the trailer right now. I forgot Zendaya. Like every time I see her in something, a music video with like Bruno Mars or like a movie or something, I love her more because it's like another dimension of her. She's rarely the same thing twice. Like as far as like character.
Yeah, she's
like
very versatile.
Well, because like in Greatest Showman, she's like a singer, like kind of the sexy, trapeze artist. And
she's
stuff.
got heart.
In this movie, she's like the sarcastic tomboy.
I mean, like I'm not a big fan of that take on MJ.
Jane. But this is a different MJ, right? This is not Mary Jane.
Apparently, it's not Mary Jane, but they're calling her MJ. I mean, I don't know.
How dare they?
Someone I looked into that before at
Cookie.
the end of Homecoming, and someone had said something about like that whatever this I forget what this character's name is, but
Yeah.
like she was also referred to as MJ at some point or something. So that's what they're called.
Just at the end of the movie.
No. I mean in the comics.
This character's in the comics?
Yeah, whatever her character is, like, was in the comics. I
don't
forgot the
think
name.
so.
Like, as I looked it up after Homecoming, I'm like, wait, was that MJ? And then, or Mary Jane? And they're like, oh, her character was actually blah, blah, blah. It was referred to as Mary Jane in the previous thing.
Interesting. Let's find out. You guys are going to come with us right now. We're going to find this out.
But then she was in that Nickelodeon show, and she was just like, cute, like Disney star kind of girl. And then,
Yeah, the girls liked her for a long time. She was in that dance show or whatever.
okay. But then, like, when Bruno Mars had that music video, like Versace on the floor.
Oh,
and
yeah.
have you seen that music video?
No.
When that music video came out, it's like, Zendaya all grown up. Like, oh, man.
It's like, she's got heart.
Something like that.
Whoa. MJ is called Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle. She's Michelle in this first movie.
So let's go to the Marvel database and throw in Michelle Jones.
I know they have something like that. There it is. Marvel fan in the database.
Now throw that name in and
Okay.
spin the wheel.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't think she's in the comics, bro.
Oh, okay. I haven't read Spider-Man comics since I was 9.
I didn't know her last name was Jones, to be honest, from the movie. I was just a little. I don't know.
Maybe she's a young Lara Croft in this.
I don't know if this was the intention, but like
I love the characters.
Yeah, I don't know if this was the intention, but like I feel like they, at some point they needed like an MJ in the story, and it might have been like too much of like a social outcry if they made like Mary Jane like a mixed girl. That wasn't a redhead or something. I don't know. Maybe that was a way to avoid that. So instead, they have this controversy.
Yeah. It's
Which
just,
is
it's just
better.
weird to me. Like, okay,
This
it's
is better.
Michelle, but not Mary Jane.
Because they're not trying to touch into the comics. They're like, new MJ.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I like the character a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
her, I like that she's like the tomboy, whatever kind of.
Yeah.
You look pretty,
but-
so therefore
Yeah,
Have
she's
value.
like sassy, like.
And
what the-
she's like, I'm kidding, I'm messing with you. You look pretty too.
So I love that character, especially in the first one where she was kind of she's just being a slacker, kind of like funny and smart or whatever. That just
Sly.
It's so bizarre because you see that Bruno Mars video and you see like Greatest Showman. Depending on which one you saw first, would give you a different impression of like what Zendaya's thing is, or that actually I never saw the Nickelodeon show, so I looked up the thing. It wasn't her and Bella Thorne.
Yes, it is. I think it was called Step It Up.
So the fact that like Bella and Zendaya came from like the same co-starring show, it's crazy. It's like a what if,
What if they're androids?
kind of, I guess.
What was that?
That's
Oh, it
where
was
I
a
was
Disney
going.
show.
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
Disney show. What was it called? It was like
Shake It Up.
Yeah, Shake It Up. That's what it was. Step It Up.
Sister,
Step It Up is that one with
Channing Tatum.
yes,
I don't know.
Channing Tatum.
Oh, am I right? I just
Yeah, you're
guessed. Like whenever somebody's like, there was that sexy thing. I don't know Channing Tatum. Like,
Mid 2000s where they're like,
That's
we need
right.
dancing movies again.
it's funny because it evolved, I don't know if you consider it evolved or what, but it turned into a thing where like I think the last Step It Up movie or one of the last Step It Up movies was a YouTube original. I was like, what an odd history.
Zendaya in Greatest Showman, for those music lovers out there, that album is amazing. Mm-hmm. Every single song is
Paul and Pasek
Awesome.
did the music for it. Like,
Yeah, my kids listen to it and they love it.
So, love letter to Zendaya. But the Far From Home trailer was like actually Vince and I both got a message from our friend Marie, who's like another songwriter. I don't know if we've ever had a conversation about Marvel with her, but she group messaged us by the time we woke up, and she's in the Midwest now. So I think she messaged us like a normal morning time for her, and it was like super early for us, like minutes after the trailer came out. And she was like, "Guys, hold," and like lots of expletives, like, "Have you seen this?" So I watched it from like in my bed on my phone. I was like, "Oh my god, they went for it! They went
Yeah.
through the multiverse."
I was like, I wasn't expecting that at all. I
Yeah.
was expecting maybe the mild, like, oh, this or that. And then I was like, holy crap, straight from the get go. Like,
I love, for the most part, with Marvel's like MCU stuff specifically, like I know that there's going to be something different, and everyone has speculation. Like I mentioned on this podcast before, I saw a video essay about how they were like, Far From Home was probably a fake movie. That wasn't right at all, but it ended up being like something completely different than you just thought. Like, like
well, they needed to release something. So, like, oh, we got to make sure that we quiet all this stuff out of it.
But I love that the Endgame trailer was pretty accurate. Like it didn't spoil anything, but it didn't. They changed. Actually, they didn't even change as much as like just omitted things.
Yeah.
Like that shot that like where later we found out was Captain Marvel bringing the ship back. People were like, "Where's that? What's that gap?" You know, like who did they Photoshop out? And it's like, well, they just cut it before they showed Pepper. Like, but the flip side was the actual reality was they edited the Spider-Man trailer heavily. That was
Actually, I think you could go on someone on YouTube took all the parts from all the trailers that didn't show up in Endgame and put it together.
I love those videos. Or they do side by sides.
Sounds pretty cool.
Photoshop's not the right word, but like where they altered like the footage, you know,
Yeah.
was
Touched.
yeah, was Scarlett Johansson's hair. Like there was the one shot where her roots are showing, but there's another one where she's
got the hair from last time.
She's got the blonde hair,
Yeah.
but when you watch the movie, she's got the roots growing out.
Yep.
Like things. But it was weird that why they changed
She
that.
joined the Roots, what'd you say?
But it was weird why they changed that and not the other shot where she was sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe just to confuse us. So
She
we talk
has
about
hair?
it.
Oh, sorry.
A lot of little tiny things. And those honestly like bother me. Like a little
Oh, yeah.
bit. Just in my like, like just in the back of your head kind of. Or like when somebody says something in a trailer, sometimes they say it, and I don't know if it's like the demo-itis that music people have when they hear the first, like if you hear a song and it's really rough and it's like, oh, and then they hear the song really posh, they're like, I like the original better. And like I really feel like I've seen these trailers and they'll say it a certain way, and then like in the movie it's a different clip or a different take, and I was like, this is cooler the other way.
I feel like I used
like
to be
the
like that,
trailer.
and now I smoke and drink a lot more. So like, I think I forget about it. Like I don't think about it until I see theory YouTube videos afterwards. Have you seen Wreck-It Ralph 2?
Yeah.
So I love the way they handled that in that movie because there's like a key scene in the trailers that's in every Wreck-It Ralph 2 trailer. If you haven't seen it by now, this is a spoiler, but why?
Bad.
There's that scene where he's feeding like the bunny. And
Yeah, the bunny, the pancakes, and the milkshakes and stuff.
And who was it? A cat? That was a milkshake.
The kitty gets the milkshake.
That's a big part of the trailer. At one point, that was the only part of the trailer, and then like, the whole movie happens and it's not in there. And then the after credits is this little girl in the back seat watching her iPad, which holy hell made me feel old. And she's like watching her iPad. She's like, "It makes me sad. It wasn't in the trailer." And then she's playing the game. I was like, "That's hilarious."
Yeah.
Or like Venom. I know this is not gonna spoil it for you because you don't want to watch it. The trailer that turd in the wind line.
Yeah.
Is like the final scene.
Yeah.
Like a turd in the wind.
But I was like, that was an odd choice
to
like,
show the end scene.
Yeah, even though it didn't spoil anything, but like it was, I was like, I don't know if I've seen that before. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just weird, and also like the way they presented it in the trailer, it makes me wonder if they were like planning on negative press because they cut down this line in the trailer, so it seemed extra stupid. And granted, it wasn't Shakespeare in the movie either, but like it made so much sense in context of the movie.
Yeah.
And he said a lot more leading up to that line. And they could have added any one thought from that string of things to make that line make sense. And then they just didn't. They were just like a turd in the wind. It was like, what? Okay. He just kind of talks about like how shitty it is that this person is trying to rob like a convenience store this little old lady owns. And so he's like, you're a piece of shit. So like, I'm going to like bite your head off and throw you down the street like a little piece of shit. Like, you know, like a turd in the wind. Like, so the whole thing is kind of like, it's an amalgamation of like, you're a piece of shit. I'm going to like treat you like it, blah, blah, you know. It wasn't just like a cold, like a turd in the wind. Like, yeah.
Maniacal laugh.
But anyway, speaking of turds in the wind, at the end of last week, we have so much Endgame stuff. The same week I would say few of you, except there's like 11 million copies of this game was sold. Mortal Kombat 11. I finished the story mode because the game came out 2 days before Endgame, which was so unfair. So I finished it like literally like 12 hours before seeing Endgame. My heart was not ready. And I mentioned this before, but it was a very similar outcome. Like they kill everyone you love. Like some people survive. You're uncertain about like they leave it as it's a very conclusive end to the franchise.
Yeah.
But also like they could reboot it in 10 years or 5 or whenever they need money. And like, but it was so beautiful. Like they've really like upped the ante on the storytelling and stuff. And kind of described things a little bit leading up to it for anybody who wants to play the game. I won't completely spoil it because Vince still needs to play it.
Yeah.
And, on some of the Mortal Kombat Facebook groups I'm in, they actually have like a no spoilers for 30 days thing. They're like, this is going to take longer than just watching a movie for people. But essentially, like all the Mortal Kombat stuff happens. Actually, and it's funny, you were surprised that there was a storyline too to the original games. We were just at a friend's birthday party on the beach last night, and one of the people we met there was like, "Wait, I played Mortal Kombat games my whole life. I didn't know there was a story." It's like, I guess maybe what made the difference is if you were one of those kids that read the opening sequence in the arcade machines, that was the story because there wasn't a story mode. So I was one of those kids. So I was like following the lore and everything. And it wasn't until I think MK9 where the storyline became like really important. Like they could do cutscenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know previous games had cutscenes, but they're so terrible. I think most people just like skip through them.
For me, it was those Mortal Kombat games like that Sub-Zero game.
The Sub-Zero mythology. Actually, not ironically, I don't know what the right word for that is. Sub-Zero mythologies is like that, and Special Forces are like two of the worst games ever, period, but in Mortal Kombat history. But also Sub-Zero mythologies was probably the starting point of the most storyline ever, because it explained like so many like holes in the story and stuff. Like, why did they have the amulet? Why was Shang Tsung having a competition? Like, you knew he was having a competition, you knew they had to win 10 in a row, but like, why? And so that terrible game with those horrible cutscenes, like, explain that. So like the TLDR of the original series, when Midway owned Mortal Kombat, the first 3 games were like the Holy Trinity. Mortal Kombat 4 was like the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
But the original trilogy was that there's all these different realms: Netherrealm, Outworld, Earthrealm, but a bunch of places. It doesn't really matter like what they are. But like, if you want to invade the other one, the rules from the Elder Gods in the mythology is that you have to win 10 Mortal Kombat competitions in a row, and the competitions only happen once in a lifetime, or generations, what they said, so that you can like groom a fighter for your dimension to go into or whatever. So Outworld wants to invade Earthrealm. They've already taken over Edenia, which is where like the female ninjas come from, like Katana and stuff. So that's like in the past. We never got to see that. So they want to take over Earth. They won 9 in a row, and so they have to win the 10th one to finally take over Earthrealm, and that's Mortal Kombat 1, that 10th tournament. In canon, even though each character has their own ending, in canon, Liu Kang won, screwed up everything for Outworld.
Yeah.
So then Mortal Kombat 2 is I'm trying to think. I can't remember the exact mythology of it, but I think it was them like Shao Kahn is revealed as like even bigger than Shang Tsung, and he's disappointed, and so the tournament is now like in Outworld, and so they're doing that. And I forget the details of Mortal Kombat 2, but then Mortal Kombat 3, Shao Kahn's pissed because they keep losing, so he's just like F it, and they just go to Earthrealm and start invading, and that's why the third game happens like in the subway, in a police station, church, and all that stuff. After that, I'm a little fuzzy on the timeline because the games were so terrible, and I wasn't playing the end of high school and then college and like life happened and stuff. Right. But in the middle of all that, like, it gets culminating because it was kind of what Marvel had a problem with. They had so many characters. Like, what do you do with everybody? Mm-hmm. So it culminated to Armageddon, which was heralded as like the last Mortal Kombat game ever. It was going to include every character ever involved in Mortal Kombat. Like, the roster is huge. It looks like a joke, like a Photoshop joke. When
you can't even see all the people's pictures.
Because it includes every joke character. There's a character called Mocap. He's just a guy in a motion capture suit with the balls on him. There's a character called Meat. That it's like the sprite of when someone gets their skin ripped off. It was like a glitch in another game, so they included him as a character, and they made backstories for all these people. And I don't know like exactly how everybody fit in.
Sounds like a bad idea.
So, but also because they had so many people, the reason like the first game only had like 7 characters and they kept growing with technology is because when you do those fatalities, they have to account for every cross possibility. Mm-hmm. So when you include everyone that's ever been included, you have to create that, like, each person's fatality affecting every other character. So they had introduced some sort of like weird mechanic of like create your own fatality thing, which I never saw, but I heard was like the most horrific, like not in a good way. Like, it was like super generic. Like, they were basically just like combos and punching and stuff. And I don't know, but the story for that game like concluded with like all the contestants of Mortal Kombat like in this big like kind of endgame-ish battle where like they're charging at each other, and by the end of that battle everyone dies. Oh wow! I think they either got killed by other like people battling, or like there's this whole storyline about this dragon that came down and like killed everybody. It's really complicated.
Wow!
So it sounds overly complicated.
But the end of Armageddon was we killed everybody, and I think Midway already knew they were going under, and that's why they did that. Because they like went bankrupt, and then it was just done. Mm-hmm. And then like I don't know how many years later, almost 10 years ago now, Mortal Kombat 9 was announced, but they confused everybody because they branded it as Mortal Kombat. They were like, which like, was it going to be like a remaster of the original one or whatever? So the first cutscene in Mortal Kombat 9 is they show that Raiden didn't die right away at the end of Armageddon. So Raiden is like, he's not dead yet. But whoever's going to kill him,
not dead yet.
Yeah, they show like everybody else is dead, and Raiden's like the last one, and whoever's going to kill him is like getting ready to take his life, which is another complicated thing because Raiden's a god, but whatever. So like Raiden is like, oh crap. So he takes like all the information he learned from like the centuries of Mortal Kombat and sent that message to his past self because apparently that was a thing he could do. And so
I guess so. Yeah.
Then it flashes back to Mortal Kombat 1, but it presents it in like that 3D style thing, and it was weird because it's like that is kind of how that would look like, isn't it? But you're all used to see Mortal Kombat 1 like in the one plane
2D. Yeah.
So he's like standing there with the first scene of Mortal Kombat 1, and he's like, oh, and Liu Kang's like, what's going on? He's like, I got this weird feeling that so it restarted the timeline. And so Mortal Kombat 9 is the events of Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 with the timeline changed. They didn't go with the Endgame timeline theory. But so it's that timeline changed, basically that. And then Mortal Kombat X, the short version is
XL.
At the end of Mortal Kombat X, there's a god Shinnok who's like the god of death or evil or whatever. And you can't kill gods except for Raiden, apparently. I don't know. But, like, Shinnok can't be killed, so Raiden decides to cut off his head and make an example of him and, like, put his head on a pike that has to, like, watch eternity forever or something like that.
As long as he's separated from his body.
Something, yeah. But apparently, like, physics works because...
He can't die, though.
Because he can't die, but since his head's cut off and he doesn't have vocal cords, he can't speak, so he's just, like, groaning or something. It's weird. I don't know. But that brings us to the beginning of Mortal Kombat 11, which shows that Raiden became evil because he's just going on a rampage, trying to protect Earth like too much.
Oh yeah.
So they introduced this character Kronika.
He lost it.
This the first female boss, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And she like kind of descends on all of this and freezes time, and she's like, this wasn't how it's supposed to go. Like Raiden effed all this up. And so she freezes time and brings all of the timelines together, kind of like Armageddon tried to. Except I think the story writers were just like, we're not gonna try to bring back everybody. Like, let's bring back the people that people cared about.
Exactly. Not mocap.
Yeah, no mocap.
No mocap.
Actually, what's funny? I think because of the resetting timeline, it like X'd out everyone from like Mortal Kombat 4 and beyond, except for the people that people cared about.
Yeah.
So it was like all the classics plus like a handful of like cool people that did come along the way. And then for everybody that wasn't in there, they just didn't explain it. They were like, they were busy.
They had things to do.
Right. So that's where we're at with MK11.
Yeah.
Is we don't know if Raiden's the bad guy because you're trying to defeat Kronika, who can control time. And she has like an underling named Garrus. It's a new character in this video who can control time. His power in the game is that he can't die, which adds a really interesting dynamic to a fighting game. Because
that sounds one-sided.
Yeah, not the final, but one of the final trailers leading up to MK11 was Garrus like fighting Liu Kang and Kung Lao, and Kung Lao takes his hat and chops off his head, and it's fatality. He's like, well, that was easy. And then time starts rewinding and sand like reassembles Garrus' body, and he's like, I can't die. I'm like, what is this going to do to the game? So Ed Boon said that the programmers had to like reprogram fighting games for this one character because he can affect the clock and he can remember what you did like seconds before. So he can like that character can like rewind the match. It's crazy.
So how do you kill him?
Spoiler.
Very nice.
But yeah, so that's essentially that wrap up.
He's allergic to Cheetos.
If you cared about
Cheeto dust. No.
If you cared about any of that,
My
'cause
weakness.
I just explained this to this new friend last night, and he was like, I had no idea. And now he's going to go play MK11 because he's like, I remember playing this as a kid. I had no idea. I was like, it's like a kung fu soap opera,
Kung Fu Hustle.
So I didn't know like that there was a continuing storyline, or maybe I did, but I just didn't. After the third one, I didn't feel like it was a long enough storyline for the arcade to really matter much in my life. Like I didn't love them that much, just because probably I wasn't allowed to play them that much.
Yeah.
And when I did, like it was at an arcade. So I
you know
didn't have that many quarters. I'd rather probably play a beat 'em up or something.
Yeah, Streets
And
of
because I
Rage.
sucked at those games, because I'd go in, like my friends would be like, they'd come in with a quarter next to me, like just kill me, just be, dang it, I was trying, I got past 3 guys, and they're like, nah, I can't kill you.
I have a very similar story to that. Like the reason I never got into Mortal Kombat was all of my cousins ended up being like gamers.
Yeah.
So they, or not
wailed on
all
ya.
of my cousins, I should say. My cousin Greg and Jimmy, I hung out with a lot. And Jimmy was like really freaking good. And Greg was damn good. And I was... So anytime we would play those fighting games, I just would get rocked. And then I'd get so like aggravated, like, man, I feel like I'm not doing anything different than you guys are. It's like, how do
I can't even remember if I was any good. I guess good enough to be able to play to enjoy it. I didn't care about being good at it. There was something about the game and the story that like... Well, and like you said... There actually wasn't that much of a story as far as like what was written down because there was the 1 or 2 paragraphs that could fit on the opening scroll of like the arcade.
The intro, yeah.
I don't know why, as like a 9 or 10-year-old, that caught my eye. But from the first game when I saw the thing, I was like, oh, maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was like, oh, like this has a story, like or something. And then ever since, like once you like fall in love with a character or two, then it's just like, especially as a kid, you're like you want to know everything. And I don't even know if the game explained as much. It might have been like back when Game Pro magazine happened, or like Electronic Gaming Monthly or something. They might have had like interviews with Ed Boon or something who told stories, and so all the kids in the recess yard were like, "Did you know Katana was the princess of Edenia?" You're like,
Or also, I remember if you play any NES games, they'd have storylines and stuff in the little pamphlets that came with it. But like you play the game, and you could easily probably most games just jump in and not matter that most of those pamphlets were lost anyway. So
like the only one I think that had a reoccurring storyline was Zelda or Legend of Zelda.
Yeah. They also have a bunch of other, like the Dragon
Earthworm
Warrior
Jim. He had a storyline, and actually it turned into a cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh wow, continuity.
Yeah, a little bit. All the characters were correct, at least.
That's what was crazy about Mortal Kombat is they did like a TV series and a cartoon series and comic books and stuff. I think the comic books kind of followed the game.
Yeah.
But the other stuff did not at all.
Well, the cartoon, when was that?
So I don't know. Like I don't know how this happened. Maybe because there was no internet. I didn't know that existed. And then like last year, my birthday, like Vince and I like sat down, like watched. I was like, I just want to like take in Mortal Kombat stuff.
Yeah, we were just like cruising through YouTube.
So we found the episodes. I was like, let's just like drink and like watch this. I think we got through half of the first episode and we looked at each other like, listen, man,
this is
like
horrible.
Like, and I sat through the Mortal Kombat before the first movie came out, had this VHS cassette that I think you could buy at stores for like $5 or something. And it was supposed to be like, prepare yourself for Mortal Kombat. It was supposed to be like the prequel leading up to the movie. People found out later it had nothing to do with it. But it was like when CG had first been invented. It is. Have you seen this tape? It is so crazy. I think it's gotten taken down on YouTube because whoever owns the copyright.
Do we need to bring it up?
You can try to look for it. I don't
know what it's called.
The Journey Begins. That's what it's called. Mortal Kombat: The Journey Begins. It's the worst CG animation ever.
95.
And they mix this with like traditional 2D animation, but there's dialogue happening right now from what you're seeing. And
we're seeing
there's no faces.
Who is that? Kung Lao dancing?
Yeah, Kung Lao and Goro. And I think this was motion captured maybe. I don't know. I mean, there's times where like their elbows disjoin, like
it does look mocap.
It doesn't look. I mean, for 1995 though, I mean that's not too bad.
If I squint,
no, that's the thing. At the time, it was like. But the thing is, they cut between this, so this would happen, and then as soon as someone starts talking, it would cut to like traditional 2D animation.
What?
But the 2D animation was like still frames that they just like pushed across the screen. Like you could tell, like it was like a really low budget thing,
like a Conan O'Brien thing where they just put the mouth over the top of it.
Like is this
Arnold and his mouth or something?
Is this the whole thing or just this one scene?
I don't know.
This is one scene. Oh, okay. So this person compiled all just the fight scenes.
Guys, you have to look up Mortal Kombat: The Journey Begins.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the in the show notes to watch this.
You need to see what this looks like.
This may be. And it was a thing because the package didn't give you any indication of like it made it seem really cool because it had the logo and the back had like still frames of what we just saw, which made it seem revolutionary. It was like this is gonna be virtual reality, like lifelike. We don't have the audio on here, but this actually looks kind of cool until like you start watching the action. Each character has like maybe less than a dozen like cycles of animation that they reuse for various purposes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Like this beginning is probably the best part. And then it just keeps going downhill.
Johnny Cage.
Yeah. I don't know if you watch the old Spider-Man series.
It's like this.
Yeah, they reuse animation like constantly. And then halfway through, like I think it's 1967. I have the DVD for all of it, and they're pretty entertaining because there's two shows in a 30-minute thing. But like halfway through, it's like they changed animation or did something differently, and they changed it to one show that's 30 minutes long. And oh my gosh, like the amount of swinging of the same exact frickin' building that Spider-Man does, I couldn't watch any more of it. Like
it just keeps cutting back.
Yeah, it's the same thing, and between the episodes, like they might have like a different color in the background or something.
Like somebody
it's the same exact swinging.
Draw his right hand swinging, please.
Like, I understand it's 1967 or whatever, but come on, man.
Look, we got Sub-Zero now.
See, at face value, even when I started watching this, I was like, this is going to be cool. Because for the 90s, this was like a Saturday morning cartoon thing.
It's that era, though, like when they were halfway in between doing computer animated stuff. I mean, even if you watch the old Spider-Man show, that one in the 90s, they have splices of computer animated stuff in it. Like
That's
you don't
so
remember
confusing
it,
to me. Like they would go from a 2D animation style like this to a 3D rendering of like people doing mocap like that. Why would you change format?
Yeah.
So like
in
here,
your-
like
in a
they're on the
show like
ship,
that?
and then someone says something. They're like, "Let's fight," and they, like Raiden appears, and then they're like, "Let's fight," and it's, for some reason the ship has like the logo. And
I like that ship.
Oh, there's it's like half and half there.
But then like it just cuts to like this weird fight scene thing that's all in CG. Like so, Shang Tsung in the CG version is like.
That looks really
is the
bad.
Mortal Kombat 3 version of himself, and in the 2D animation, he's the Mortal Kombat 1 version of himself. But this is supposed to be the same timeline.
Yeah.
Like
That's so confusing.
They literally look like action figures.
This looks like Virtual Fighter.
Yes. Oh, I hated that game so much.
That like polygon.
I
That
wish
and Tekken. I hated
I
Tekken.
didn't like Tekken either. I just sucked at it. Really, that's why I hate it. Not
But
just
like,
playing.
so this came out in what, 95? When did the cartoon? Because you said there was another cartoon.
I don't know actually
Because in the 90s, like we talked about before, they had all those cartoons for movies that were inappropriate for kids.
Oh
yeah.
Remember they had a cartoon for Highlander.
Oh
And I
yeah,
was like, how are you going to do this? Like, you got to cut the guy's head off.
that's how
all the
every
things happen
episode
off
ends,
screen.
right?
Yeah.
That show was awesome, and they got away with that on television.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know how they got away with it. I mean, it was always off screen or something, or something was
never showed it.
obstructing the head on that.
But still, that show was on television.
I loved that show.
Every episode ended with a guy losing his head. Mm-hmm. Like that just shows
So,
you where we're at today.
I'm going to send Josh this link that would be better for you guys to see. So, Angry Video Game Nerd on his channel, Cinemassacre, they have like a retro movie review show. So they go over this, and it's so funny because it's like 3 or 4 friends all reminiscing about this video and pointing out all of the weird things that happen. You're like, did you ever notice like every character has like one hand open and one hand making a fist? Because it's like that's the frames they made, so they could like animate like the fighting and then like,
Yeah.
and stuff, and like they all like watched it together.
Oh, man. I love watching these. I haven't actually watched this specific one.
This was fairly recent. I think they had this come out for the Mortal Kombat 11 release.
I wonder how they don't get dinged for that crap being in the background. On YouTube, they always have like an old movie in the background.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So the spear, instead of spearing Sonya in the chest, it like wraps around her waist. But it still has a spear at the end of it. You know, like it's how they make it kid friendly.
Like,
it's
Scorpion.
There's
Yeah.
no need for that spear. That it defies physics completely. Goes around
yeah.
her and twists.
Yeah, on the spear itself.
He's like, get over here, please.
Didn't they do a MythBusters like that with Batman's car, where he tried to like in one of the movies he throws a spear around like a pole and it makes his car like go faster around a corner.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
like they tried to do it and it's like couldn't do it.
No, that's movie
funny
stuff.
Funny you say that though, because Warner Brothers sponsored Nerdist doing the Science of Mortal Kombat, which is basically MythBusters but Mortal Kombat things. And
That's cool.
When they announced it, I counted down the days for it to come out. And then when the first episode dropped, I watched it. I was like, ugh! It's our friend Alan. Is like the host. I mean, Kyle's the main host because he's from Nerdist, but Alan, he's a science. Yeah, Alan Pan is a science YouTuber. If you haven't checked him out, it's called Sufficiently Advanced. He's the guy that made the Thor hammer that only he could pick up because it had the
the
on
metal
it.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, so that was Alan. So he is very good at what he does. Like, he has a bunch of viral videos, and so he got hired to be the tech side of this show. So he basically does MythBusters, and Scorpion Spear is one of the things they did. Could someone drag someone straight across a room? They did like, could you be uppercut 6 feet in the air? You can't. Spoiler. Like.
Oh yeah, there's one they did with the knocking someone out of their socks once.
Oh really?
Yeah, and
That's funny.
I think they accomplished it, but it had to be like a semi truck driving with a pole out the side, and just like this is the dummy it hits, like whatever would have just decapitated him anyway.
Yeah. They did the uppercut one. I think they had like an MMA fighter or UFC fighter or something that had like the fastest punch or something like that. You know, something like legit, like as far as a human try to do it. And they were like, "Do you think you can uppercut him like in Mortal Kombat?" He's like, "Are you asking me to uppercut a 200-pound ballistics gel body 6 feet in the air?" He's like, "Yeah." It's like, I don't think so. We're going to do this anyway. They tried.
Smart,
I mean,
they know.
he broke his neck. I
Yeah.
mean, there was that, but like. Then they tried using a machine, and the machine wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So they essentially they made a cannon, and
Just to do it.
to do it with like a punching glove, like a boxing glove on it, and then they had to shift the weight in the body, like the fake body, to the perfect point so that it would like actually go up instead of just break in pieces. and stuff. But it's worth watching. If there's like 4 or 5 episodes, The Science of Mortal Kombat, you should definitely check out. Cinemassacre, Mortal Kombat Journey Begins is it's a great review because it's better than watching it. Because if you actually watch the VHS tape now, you'd be like really pissed. It's not like it's so bad it's good. It's just like, why? It's more fun to watch these guys talk about it.
Yeah.
That's a really long way of saying I liked that. I mean, I thought that was fine.
I like this.
I like that was fine when it came out.
Yeah.
But then what we saw of that Mortal Kombat animated series, I was like, what?
Like
Why?
what?
So it was so
this?
that was
I
so
think
bad.
I've seen like screenshots of it, but I've never seen anybody playing any of it. It reminded me of there was some weird version of Nintendo or something in Japan where it had discs, and so they had like Legend of Zelda and stuff with like these cartoon.
It
reminded me
Phyllis
of that.
Magnavox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Captain N.
I like Captain N actually. And
I haven't seen it in a long time, so I imagine it's awful. But like I remember loving it.
it's
not bad.
It's not the worst of those shows. Like Captain Planet is so bad.
Yeah,
I can't watch Captain Planet.
you just can't take it.
Can't do it. I can sing the song all day.
I can watch Don Cheadle ones.
Wait, is that like a 90s reference with like Ross Perot like ain't gonna do it?
Ain't gonna do it.
But yeah, I don't. It was disheartening because I feel like at the time when maybe it's between being kids and it being the 90s, since there was no internet, we only like learned to appreciate like what's in front of us. So like it could have been the crappiest show on earth, but like we're like it's a Mortal Kombat show.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, things are new too. Like the computer animated stuff, like probably looked cool, like at the time. Like I said, with that Spider-Man show, like
Yeah.
I love that Spider-Man show, but I remember watching it a few years back. That animation wasn't bad in that show, but they'd cut back and forth to like these weird, almost shiny looking computer animated scenes. Like when a plane was crashing or something, it'd be like you'd be swirling down the street or something, so the buildings would swirl or whatever, and it just looked awful that way. But I remember being a kid and like almost maybe even thinking like that looked cool. Like,
You know what show did do it right with 2D and 3D in the same damn show was Reboot.
I like Reboot.
I remember I liked it, but like I remember seeing it and being like, this is awful animation. Like
Yeah.
It was
I remember when I
anytime he
little.
would travel, right? Anytime he would grab
Well, it was
his board
all
to
3D,
travel.
like
Yeah, it was
CG
all-
characters.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was okay.
I mean, they were probably both elements, but
Yeah.
the whole gimmick of it was they were in the
3D
computer, so it was 3D and
world.
everything.
It's like Beast Wars too. I don't know if you ever watched Beast Wars or Beast
Very little,
Machines.
but yeah.
But like I was like, I love the story of it, but tried to watch it a few years ago and be like, oh, I can't handle it. It's just
like,
so awful.
Have you seen any of the new Voltron?
Yeah,
So that's pretty cool.
I like that one.
I do
So,
too.
Yeah.
I think the animation you're describing is what the Journey Begins Mortal Kombat thing was trying to do. Mm-hmm. Because for the most part, yeah, I'd see Reboot or like that Spider-Man show and be like, yeah, it's Saturday morning cartoons. I don't know. No school, I could watch cartoons. It didn't matter. I remember buying this VHS tape, like begging my parents. I want to say it's $5. It might have been a fortune. I don't know. I just begged my parents for it.
I hope it was only $5.
And I remember like sitting there like with my brother, we were like anticipating, we turned the TV on and stuff. And then that first CG scene comes on and my brother and I looked at each other and we're like,
Oh no.
what is this? Like, I think it was the first time we were disappointed in something Mortal Kombat, and we had put up with a lot, granted, we got past it because we told ourselves it was good.
Yeah, you want to finish it. I'm gonna sit down and I'm finishing this thing. I bought it.
Well, you know what's weird? That, and I think because since we were kids in the 90s and then like the options were kind of few and far between,
Yeah.
we're like, well, it must be good, right? Because they put it out.
Yeah.
Because we're kids, we never had a concept of Hollywood or anything, so we're like, they wouldn't release it if it wasn't good. There's something wrong with us. Like, so I think after that point, I was like, yeah, this is good.
I think we don't get it, and it's okay. And it's okay.
Yeah.
But then like years later, I think I was in college and I like watched it again or something. I'm like, what in the world did they feed us? Like,
You're right though. Like today, like there's so
Gogurt.
much new stuff of anything coming out, and you also have with the internet, you have the ability to just find whatever.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like back when, like one of the things we're going to talk about in a minute is Gundam's doing a movie, and but like to find Gundam like in the 90s was like crazy. How do you find that? You have to either special order it through like one of those stores you actually have to walk into. Was it Suncoast or something?
oh yeah.
And you're like, hey, can I special order this? And like.
Or like,
Like
a,
a model?
a Japanese friend or something.
Yeah, I mean-
no, like the shows like on DVD or something.
Yeah.
Or not DVD. This is VHS days.
It would be yeah.
But real quick, that brings us to a good point. Real quick that we can touch on. That was something we had on our list. Is that now with the internet we have things like the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer.
Yes.
So like for anybody who hasn't heard, like the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer like dropped this week, like a few days before Far From Home, and you could tell that the way they like assembled it. They had hoped people would be like, "Oh my god, nostalgia!" Like, because what was the song playing underneath it? Gangsta's Paradise.
Yes.
And so it was like, this feels like if someone who'd never seen any of those nostalgic trailers was told about it and then tried to assemble it, because it has the elements of it,
Yeah.
but that was the wrong song. Like, the character looks awful. Like, it was so many things. And also, like, he's an alien now, I guess. Because he said something, I'm here to save your planet.
In a
something.
gangster's paradise?
It was really weird. Like, I also didn't get the story. I mean, that was another thing. Like,
Yeah, there was no real story to show. It was like, hey, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Hey, they're trying to get Sonic.
and
like,
Jim and James Marsden.
exactly.
But the Jim Carrey thing was weird too, because like for a while I was like, okay, this is like for little kid, like this is for like, you know, your middle daughter's age or like younger or something. But then they had like the teaser thing at the end of the trailer where like Robotnik looks like Robotnik.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, is this for us? I don't get this. Like, what is this for?
That I feel like that scene there is a little bit like it's gonna be a little bit like the Venom thing. To like that clip is
like
gonna be
the
the
end.
end,
Like
where
a
he
turd.
turns into Robotnik.
What turd in the
Disappointing
wind.
because with a movie like Sonic, I want the first scene for that to be that Robotnik being like, I'm gonna get you, Hedgehog, and then that just start the movie. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like we're already bought because it's a talking super fast hedgehog and it's blue, and so like that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm down with that as long as you go there, you just keep going. Like,
Yeah.
don't
Even-
make it realistic.
even the scene
Don't.
where the cop like has the radar gun and then he sees that blue streak and it's like 760 miles an hour. I was like, that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
But then we saw the design and we're like, you had the design. Like, Sonic's
Yeah.
looked away.
you could just port him from whatever
Right.
recent game.
And they could even they could even like keep the electric quills that
Yeah.
they had in it, you know, and
Right.
stuff. But
the
like
sequin.
they just made them look really
I saw a
weird.
different trailer.
But it was because of the internet, they like everybody was like, this is what Sonic should look like.
Yeah.
And there's like a large consensus.
There's a bunch of really good looking ones that they took of the actual like the image of him like standing there. I remember there's like a bunch of missiles that like stop and he like freezes time like
Oh,
yeah.
it's like the
that's
Flash
right.
or something. And he sits there and he like taps his foot like he does in the video game. Like, and he looks weird just with the legs and
Yeah.
whatnot and the eyes. It just looked weird to me. Like, I don't know. And they were probably going for a little bit of like that cutesy Pikachu kind of thing what they got with the new movie, but it just didn't happen.
Didn't play.
But see, that's why Pokemon works though, because with the Detective Pikachu, even though it's kind of like an adult sarcastic Pokemon world,
Oh, yeah.
all those Pokemon look exactly like they do
Yeah.
from every original like thing. They
And
didn't
you just buy it
they
because
didn't
it's
mess
like
with
it's
it.
a movie.
My favorite
Yeah,
part
at
of
this
that
point.
trailer is like when he's like twisty. It's
Oh,
so,
yeah.
so twisty.
Or he's like Pika Pika. Oh, yeah. Like he's just like shriveled up.
Get me out of here.
But like, so I guess from all that, the director of the movie tweeted like, heard loud and clear, we're going to change the design, which is great. I heard some controversy. People thought like, well, that was their plan all along to get social media to talk about it.
You think? I mean, like, you'd have to animate a heck of a lot to do that.
I don't know. I mean, so I tend to agree with some of my other friends who, you know, pull up like Occam's razor. It's probably not that complicated.
No.
Like, it possible? Maybe, I don't know. Like, but I looked up this guy because I didn't know him before. He only has one other like film directing credit, I think. I don't think it's a film most people know. But the other credits he has is he was like a visual effects like person on a bunch of other movies. Which is both like surprising and not surprising. It's not surprising because if he's like, oh yeah, the design matters, so we're gonna change it. But it's surprising in that it got that far.
Yeah.
Right.
And nobody said anything about it.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't know. There was a bunch of people that had like they basically just made Sonic look like Sonic.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, like 'cause-
With the actual original, there it is. There's one.
Yeah.
To where like I can't really blow it up very much.
So they personified.
yeah, it's the same exact almost person, but they just
So-
made him look
or
like that.
even down here, like you see, like his shoes are like enlarged, like because in the trailer, yeah, he has like tiny feet because it's like that,
And long
that,
legs.
that would be proportional. But like in the Sonic that we know, like he had gigantic shoes the size of his head, like Mickey Mouse. You know, like
Because
Yeah.
he can run fast.
Yeah, he looks like a dude. He looks like a kid wearing a pajama shoot.
That that
costume or whatever.
the second the one that actually looks like Sonic.
Yeah,
But then we haven't seen the story yet either. Because if the story sucks, all these things won't help.
yeah. But I mean, if you get this wrong, I mean, you're gonna piss off everybody in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
To be honest about this movie, I could care less. But it'll be a fun movie, I'm sure. With the way that the producer was like, was it producer or director? Who's that?
Think director, but I
Okay.
don't.
The way that he was like, thanks for the support and the criticism. The message is loud and clear. You are unhappy with the design and you want changes. It's going to happen. Everyone at Paramount and Sega are fully committed to making this character the best he can be. I remember probably 4 years ago when the Ninja Turtles came out and they dropped that and they looked awful.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, this looks absolutely terrible. And Michael Bay turns around and goes, well, I don't care. He's like, I'm working with these other guys. Stop complaining.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is not how you do damage control.
That's what I call fan service.
But also, if you're gonna make that claim, make it a fucking fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And that's not what they did.
No.
Like,
Which is funny, they got a sequel out of it too. But
I didn't even see that one. I have to believe that was like a new generation of kids. They were like turtles, like.
Yeah. Well,
And I guess it didn't do that well because I didn't think there's not a third one, right?
nope, definitely not.
The best
somebody's got to do Turtles right again.
Please.
The best thing that came out of the Turtles Michael Bay movies were that How It Should Have Ended did Ninja Turtles thing, but they mixed it up with, was it Spider-Man?
Oh yeah.
Yes, because they're the same exact
and
plot.
they were like, this is my tower, this is my tower. We're like, wait, our stories. You have to go look it up. It's funny. Look up like Ninja Turtles, like How It Should Have Ended.
It's the Amazing Spider-Man one, the newer Sony one before the Tom Holland.
Yeah, and like Shredder gets confused and like it's funny.
Everybody's like a stalemate.
But you're right. It's nice to see that even if it's a PR stunt, which there's a very slim chance that it is, but like even if it is, still great to hear. And Paramount, I don't know, has Paramount done like a big like nostalgic animated thing yet?
Are they the ones that own DreamWorks?
I don't know about their story, if they have or haven't, like either way, but Sega, like, they gave up on the consoles and everything. Like,
Well, I think doesn't Nintendo own them now? Because they're in, like, Sonic is in Smash Brothers, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know if Nintendo owns them. I know that Sega went purely like software and games. I honestly don't know like how. That would be ironic though. That's funny. Like 90s kid to me is like, what?
It's really cool.
Sherlock Gnomes.
I think I saw that.
We have it. It's part of that gnome. That's a sequel to
Wonder Park. I meant to see
part of that
Wonder Park.
nomenclature.
Yeah. Okay.
SpongeBob the movie. Okay, so there's some stuff in here. Madagascar.
Puss in Boots. Oh, so they did Shrek.
Okay.
Kung Fu Panda. That's my shit.
So they
Yes, they did do DreamWorks.
so they know what it should be like.
Yeah.
So that's good.
So I'm happy. I'm happy that they accepted their, it's someone that's not going to like downplay crap. They're going to say, hey, maybe we screwed up and let's fix it.
Mm-hmm. Now let's see what the next trailer is. Like dozens of people have done redesigns of this Sonic in the movie, and they all look identical.
Yeah.
They look like the Sonic that we know. So if they don't make it that, they just ignored everyone.
This is the first trailer, so I wonder how much of the movie they've actually done of that. They probably only done as much as what's in the trailer to show it.
I don't know when the release date is.
Yeah.
Someone pointed out though that like James Marsden had another movie that was identical.
Yes, the bunny movie. Like there's a scene of like him driving
in
with
the
the bunny.
truck.
Yeah.
It's like, was it just like extra scenes from that movie?
Exactly.
They just dropped it in. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like Easter Bunny. I don't know what it was.
So what does everybody think about the Sonic movie trailer so far?
Yes.
Let us know in whatever comments or ratings and stuff.
That's right.
What do you think about that? Because I'm not sure yet.
Do you want to hit up comments or anything, or what do you before we end up, or no?
Oh, sure.
We got a couple of comments.
we've
One of them was
said-
aimed at Vince.
We've said this for like 3 weeks and we haven't done it yet, so we
I
should
know.
do this.
Um,
Wow, that's a...
Yeah, Cheryl was not very happy about whatever little thing she probably listened to. You have the story wrong about Ein. Ed didn't have Ein when he joined Bebop. Ein was stolen by a smuggler because he was a data dog. The bounty was for the smuggler. In the end, Spike had the option to save Ein or the smuggler, and he chose the dog.
Yep. That's
true?
very, very true.
Okay. I think she probably just misheard us. I misheard you because I have nothing about
I don't know
Cowboy
anything
Bebop.
about, I don't know anything about Cowboy Bebop either.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
No, everything's there. That
We just got in a conversation today with someone we met who was in anime, and they're like, the music in Cowboy Bebop's not jazz. I'm like, this is a very complicated conversation.
Yeah, it is.
Because
That's
like,
true.
Music genre is like...
It's definitely jazz.
But it'll be like probably a jazz fusion kind of thing or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a mixture.
I haven't listened to enough to know.
I need to. I made a bunch of little clips of that one. So there was one that was Cowboy Bebop live action, and somebody responded, and now Ein will be a husky.
Yeah, right.
Or like, what's the frou-frou dog right now? Like a chipoodle puggle? I don't know.
Yeah.
Chapoo-poo.
Poop poop.
Oh, Duston's. Wow, that's a...
She's talking about the Thor PTSD thing.
So
We're consuming.
okay, cool. So Duston's kind of agrees with. I forget if I mentioned this on last week's podcast, but I had texted our friend at Rewired Soul to cover this because I felt like I didn't have like the experience to back it up. he said pretty much the same thing that Dustin said, because he is a recovering drug addict and everything, and he has PTSD, and he is a plus size guy. He was like, it's kind of ridiculous, because he was saying like the movie would have been ridiculous, but also if that scenario could have a similar situation would happen in real life, it would be more offensive for all your friends to pander to you. Like if they're your friends and you normally talk shit to each other, then when you're trying to get your friend out of that rut, you're gonna do that more almost, you know, like kind of give each other shit and stuff. Especially because Thor was the one dishing it out for the most part before.
Yeah.
Right.
So that made sense to me. I know not everybody agrees with that, but hearing that come from someone that I trust about that subject, I was like, that makes sense. And like it was all just kind of like jabbing at each other and stuff. But I don't know. Like I'm glad that Dustin's also said that being offended by Thor's depiction is ridiculous. And then
I wasn't offended. I don't know.
Follow up with that though. So the friend that I saw the article post from, I didn't realize this, hadn't seen the movie yet, and posted that article. Then he had seen the movie after that and was like, it was so great. I mean, Thor's like whatever, but it's so great. Then he saw it 2 more times. And he was like, I know I said the thing about Thor, but oh my God, it was such a great movie. So even the source that was originally like where I saw the thing from was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, that's cool.
I said they kind of, I know, trying to end it here, but I'm sad they kind of nerfed Hulk a little bit. I mean,
With the Professor Hulk thing?
Yeah, I mean, like, I loved seeing Professor Hulk. I wish he would have went, like, savage at the end. I feel like he's kind of, like, not as powerful.
I wonder if, because he's still around, I wonder if, like, in follow-up movies, there's just going to be a moment he snaps. You know, there almost has to be.
I don't know if his contract's up.
But I mean, like that character's not. They didn't wrap him up, and the MCU, like for characters that big, usually like does something. So I don't know.
That's true. I know that was supposed to be the last of his arc of whatever they were doing, like whatever the Russos were doing with him.
I guess there is a possibility that later on, if his contract is up, later on they could just be like, oh, he's just in New York studying now.
Yeah, that's what they'll do.
You know, kind of like Jane Foster, like she broke up with him.
Or like in the new Spider-Man trailer, like Spider-Man's like, why do you need me? Like get Thor, and like he's off world. Like get Captain Marvel. Yeah, she's not answering the phone. Like
it
like
looks
Hulk. He's not here right now.
the way they presented the situation, because obviously we haven't seen the movie yet, but the way they presented the situation, like kind of looked like this is a good training wheel situation for like the next hero.
Yeah,
because it's a guy from like another multiverse that doesn't seem anywhere near like the threat level of Thanos or Ultron. So like, let's give it to this kid, see how he does. You know,
I feel like they probably think they're going there to clean things up,
Yeah.
rather than like fight a big bad guy like Mysterio.
Well, and also supposedly Mysterio is the hero, so that in their head they're probably thinking like he's just going to help someone who's already like a superpowered hero or something, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Like story wise, like I love like the casting of Holland and then even the characters. I wish it was just a little bit more like the original comics, even in the original Raimi couple, the first 2 that I liked. The third one not so much. I wish it was a little bit more closer to that, but I understand also the reasoning for them to kind of like be different because we've had so many Spider-Mans.
I get it.
Cool.
You want to end it out?
Oh yeah. Yeah, goodbye, guys. Not just playing. Thanks for sticking around. If you've listened to it this far, you've made it. You've made it, my friend. Make sure to check out all of our thingies, socials, whatever you call them. There's lots of music, videos, of all kinds of different kinds of formats and beautiful things. Check them out, please. I'm sure you can find all the social or all our socials down in the comment section, or not the comment section, the part of the
Description.
That guy.
I post him down there.
And looking forward to next episode. Actually, we have lots of more things to talk about because news is popping these days, folks.
That it is.
We are not anywhere near dry on the well.
Yeah, I kind of wonder. I wonder if it's going to keep going.
I think they're doing a good job so far, and I don't know. We got a lot more to look forward to. So we'll see you next time on Yellow Spandex. And Transmission.